Morning, we'll call the regular meeting of the Pipestone County Commissioners to order. Please rise for the National Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I can sing the national anthem too, if you want me to.
That's right.
That'd be good. I did that at a tournament game one time at Edgerton, and the person that was supposed to do it didn't show up, so I did. Okay, approval of the agenda. Is any additions, corrections, or deletions from the agenda?
Mr. Chair, I would like to add one item to the agenda if I could. We added a handout for you as well too. Beth Wilms, our Director of Southwest Health and Human Services and Southwest Health Two Services, a group voted to send a letter of support to the legislators. And the question is in regards to the new regulations proposed for family childcare in-home childcare. It's very onerous type regulations. So we as a group are going to send one. I'm going to ask that body here also sends a letter. So if we could add that to the agenda for later.
That sounds good. Any others?
Chairman, if I may, Commissioners warrants, I have add-on warrants this morning of $62,741.74. That's $62,741.74. I also have the numbers for the hospital warrants, $567,267.16. $567,267.16 for that. I do not have the treasurer's report at this time from the auditor's office. So I'm going to request that we scratch that and put that on the agenda for the second meeting of the month. Would that be all right?
Yep.
Those changes, Mr. Chair, I'll move the agenda.
Is there support for that?
Second it.
Thank you. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. That carried. Consent agenda, approve the minutes of 6/25/24. Auditors warrants of 6/28/24, 7/5/24. Commissioners warrants 62,741.74. Hospital warrants $567,267.16.
Chair, move for approval.
Thank you. Is there support?
Second.
Thank you. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Carries. Mr. Nick Bergman, County Engineer.
Good morning.
Morning.
Bit going on today, so I may need or if the next person up comes in, just stop me and I'll back after them, so. Right, first up for me would be project updates. Date I have would be for the gravel crushing, and that is we're starting to receive some of the final paperwork from them even, so who knows, maybe within a month we'll actually have that finalized out even, so.
How about striping?
The maintenance striping, I think that's all done except some of the. Might have to do some pavement markings yet, like the stuff that gets done by hand, like the stop bars.
County
versus
nine's not
arrows.
striped yet. 268,
Center line or white edge?
either.
Either. Okay, that'd be for the seal coat, but. Okay,
Unless I missed it this morning.
okay, I could have misunderstood too. Maybe I told about that. Maybe I was thinking, or maybe they were talking. Days,
Okay,
and I just took it as all of them, but I will follow up on that.
thank you.
Yep.
No problem.
Next up would be to approve a right-of-way purchase. This is for This is a small normal one, for a box culvert. Nothing out of the ordinary here.
Chair, move for
Chris is gonna move, Doug is gonna second. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign, carried.
Right, next for me, we had during the flood, we started using our radios a lot more than normal. And we found out we're having a lot of them like just weren't performing like they should. I think it's a matter of age. I don't remember when we got these. I think these are the first radios the county or we ever got. Back when we had to switch to the armor system, so they're overdue for replacement, but I wanted to run them till they were junk and we're finding some junk ones, so. So I reached out to Mike and Casey for help on this, cause I don't really know what kind of specs we need. They know more about that stuff than I do, and they gave me some guidance on what we need and we're able to track down some like new used ones from a fire department. I'm not sure which one, but I guess for these look like brand new radios, this is a heck of a good discount, so. Instead of new ones, I think I would recommend that we just purchase these 4 used ones. For approval.
Thank you. Is there a second?
I'll second that.
Any other discussion?
First, just appreciate the frugalness of getting used ones instead of new ones. I see in here that originally they were purchased with COVID money, so make sure that that's not gonna be a hindrance later on with the transfer of that property.
Oh,
Make sure that's copacetic with the feds.
That
Yep.
would be, that would be their problem, not
That's
ours,
their,
right?
that's
Yeah.
their issue.
Yeah.
bring it up. Yeah, the only thing about these where they're, I might be wrong on my wording, non-intrinsically safe or something
Oh,
like that.
sure.
It means, from what I understand, it means they can throw a minute spark. That's the main point of that would be for people that are on explosive gases, like a fire department or something, and we're not. So it's
Exactly.
like, I don't know what the ones we are. Do you remember if those are?
Probably no different what you have.
I'm guessing it's the same thing as what we have, so like, to me, it just didn't matter. We're not sending our guys into any explosive gas stuff, so.
That's a term that's used a lot in the National Electric Code as well, too, if you're in explosive hazardous area, so
Oh,
that's
so, okay, so you know what this means, and I don't.
intrinsically safe, you know.
Are 4 enough?
That's all they had, or I
4
would
is
have
what
probably
you
got.
found, huh? Okay.
Yeah.
You could match them later if you need to.
We'll buy some more next year if we need to or something, but I think now we had 3 of them that were not performing well, so this'll be a 4th, and well. But I'm putting a little bit of money away every year to replace these, cause from what I'm told, they're overdue for replacement anyway, so.
Probably good to use them until they die because they're not worth anything,
Correct.
basically.
And that's my thing, I don't wanna throw them away if they're working fine, I just,
And then.
Short circuits my brain, I guess,
Buy
so.
them as you need them.
yeah. Yeah, that's my plan, so. It'd probably be different in my mind, for like law
Oh,
enforcement
yeah,
or something.
that'd be different.
But for us, like, I
You
don't
get
think
by
it's
for
worth
a
it.
few days or whatever.
Correct, yep.
All right, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Carried.
All right, next up. I just wanted to give you a flood update. All of our road surfaces are repaired and we're estimating about 25% of our ditch cleans are done, so. I think we're sitting much better than a lot of our neighbors, so. Yep, just wanted to give you that update. Then. With the flooding, I don't know if you had. If my rambling in this next request for board action made sense, but. So typically we have a highway maintenance superintendent and an intermittent foreman. The intermittent foreman fills in for the superintendent when that person's gone. Our current highway maintenance superintendent is on military leave, and the previous intermittent foreman resigned a couple months ago, leaving us with neither of those positions. So as a result, we offered the mechanic an $8 an hour stipend to be the temporary maintenance superintendent until the regular one returned from military leave. And at that time, we were gonna backfill that intermittent foreman position. But during the flood event, the temporary maintenance superintendent was also gone on leave, leaving us with nobody there. I tried to pull double duty, but, you know, due to my getting pulled every direction so much, it didn't work out like I had hoped it would. So the crew ended up really leaning a lot on Josh Koyman, and he, I think he did a really good job at kind of filling those duties to the best of his ability during that time. And he had requested the same stipend that the temporary maintenance superintendent got. So I understand it's, you know, it's a messy situation, but you know, really it's a result of military leave and a week of regular leave and a flood all stacked on top of each other for the same week. I guess I support Josh's request. And then I thought as a template, I just updated the one we used for Phil. And I just changed the name and the dates on there. So if you need more information or want me to look into anything else, you know, we don't have to do anything with this today, but I just wanted to bring it up.
Is this okay with the union?
It would be on the agreement. It's got a signature line for them, so it'd be subject to their approval.
Is Josh, is he a grader operator?
He is currently our equipment operator, so he's kind of the swing guy. He kind of does a little bit of everything.
What did the guys, or what did he do extra they wouldn't have been doing?
I really like the coordination of, okay, let's move here, there. You know, like with the progression of site repairs, he was making contact with the crew, you know, like they would. What's a good way to put it? Like when we went out checking roads on overtime and stuff, he was the one being contacted by them. You know, in an ideal world, it would have been myself or, you know, or Nate if he was around, or Phil if he was around, but, you know, looking back, there's things that I could have done better, differently, but you know, in the heat of the moment when this stuff happens, it's rather chaotic, so. And then I had a lot of problems with the Stone Arch Bridge with that platform floating. That really consumed a lot of my time, so.
I'm just wondering, you know, during a flood, I mean, everybody's really busy and
Mhm.
calling each other, and I'm
Yep.
just wondering, you know, did he do enough extra above and beyond, or?
I think he did. I feel he did because of, you know, probably how little I ended up doing in that department. I mean, it was getting done. You know, we use text messaging a lot now. Not really sure why. It seems to go better instead of, on the radio, you know, like as in the past. So, you know, there's a lot of those things that I wasn't hearing at the time that I didn't know were going on that were. We can, you know, if there's some specific things you want to know, like more information on this, I'm fine tabling this for now and getting some more information, reporting back.
Dan?
And maybe building on that, and my only concern would be to make sure that it was obvious to his peers that he did stand out and above everybody else, so that they don't feel slighted if we give him recognition, some financial remuneration, that they don't feel slighted as well too.
Well, that was a bit of my point,
I
was, if, you know, if he felt, oh, I did more work than everybody else, then we're gonna, down the road, somebody else is gonna feel they did a little more than the next guy.
Yeah. We don't want to slight anybody. I certainly appreciate the fact that he recognized the need and he took the initiative to address it, and he was able to step up, take leadership. That's what we want of all of our employees. That's great. But I want to make sure that nobody else feels slighted, that they also did something and didn't get the same recognition. So as long as you're comfortable with that.
So should I have them make that request to us then? Like maybe have the union ask for this for just him?
I don't know if that's necessary. I think it's more, you know, your opinion, cause you know what you guys are doing.
And I had asked him, I said, is this strictly you doing this? And he said, yes, that's how I feel.
Okay.
Um,
But do his peers feel the same way?
well, that I don't know. That's why I had,
Yeah.
this agreement on here.
Cause I want
Needs
to
union
reward the
approval
guy
too.
for a good job, but I don't want.
Well, again, you know, I know those situations, everybody's super busy.
Yep,
You know, just you're go, go, go.
Yep.
So what are the other guys,
Yep.
you know, are they gonna, they hear this is what happened and now like, well, man, I did this and I did
yeah,
this.
how about me? Yeah,
It's a little touchy,
Yeah.
yeah.
I don't know that we want the union to make the request, or
No.
they'll be making the request quite often.
yeah.
Yeah.
I just thought if they made it for him only, then that, to me, that would be, but I guess they'd have to prove it anyway if the agreement's in your packet, isn't it?
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, we got.
I would like you to do a little bit more thorough investigating before
I
we
can do that.
actually give specific reward to one individual.
I had one more question, Nick. Like, okay, so there was no flood and you didn't have either supervisor there, then who's responsible then?
The plan was to just have the task for the guys for the week and I was gonna coordinate that with them. And we had it set up, it was really gonna be blading or graveling.
So it would be no supervisor during that time or
Excuse me?
would be no supervisor
Correct.
during that time?
Yeah, it would have been me
Oh,
taking over for that,
But, you know, I know. in
for
the
that 1
past-
week.
In the past, we've used the assistant engineer as next in command.
Yep. It's one or the other. I mean,
Could have he stepped in on this?
he could have, yeah, but he was, so with our bridge inspections every year, there's a good way to put it, certain bridges have to be done within certain timelines. We try to spread that workload out over the, kind of divided by month, you know? Cause like some are due in 12 months, some are 14, I guess, but you can't. You have to spread them out or you get too many due at one time. And, from our construction load, he was backed up and already doing overtime to get all of our, bridge inspections done. So he didn't I felt I had more time than him available for that week
Oh.
to do that.
Yeah, and.
That's why I
like
planned on
said,
doing it
These
instead of him.
floods, a lot of things gotta be put on hold. When you
Yep.
have a flood, it just.
Yep.
All hands on deck,
Yes,
right?
yes. Fortunately, I've experienced it before.
Yeah.
So, I mean, you would know better, but like it's mass chaos, so.
Also, Nick, if you would, do your best to convey to the guys that we recognize that everybody stepped up and did a good job and we were really fortunate that we got through this one.
I will do that. Okay, I will bring that back. Um. All right, other maintenance updates I have, before the flooding, we were working on some mowing, graveling, spraying. And then, last couple weeks, flood repairs, so. Next up, I have my 5-year plan. Would you like me to start on that now, or should I wait till after the? I'm fine either way.
You got time.
We got time.
You wanted to see?
With that,
That it?
perfect.
There you go.
I believe that should be July 9th. So, a lot of dates on here. Sorry about that. This is a picture of our County Road 16 overlay from this spring, if anyone is curious. As you can see, lots of trucks there. All right. So this is year 1 of our 5-year plan. This year's pretty much all let. Cap. You know, we do our best on this plan. There's a lot of guesswork that goes into the later years, but we try to make sure we're have our funding spread out and used up and accounted for, so nothing goes back, which is never a problem for us, seems like, but so the first few years are more accurate as the plan, as you get to the backside of the plan, there's more changes that get made, but Either way, starting off here, 2024, we had a seal coat project. We have a gravel and tile project coming up for County Road 17.
Have they started that yet?
No,
Is the tar plant out of there?
no, they're still there.
Okay.
He said they can't start the gravel project till the paving plant's out of there. I think there'd just be way too much traffic. It'd compound the dust problem. I don't want to see anybody getting hurt out there, so. So we did put that in the contract. They couldn't start till the paving plant was out of there. So overlays we did were on County Roads 2, 11, 12, 2 segments of 16. County Road 18, County Roads 23 and 92 up in Ruthven. And then, we're kind of working with the city of Edgerton on on their Main Street overlay project where we had an overlay coming anyway. They're doing some utility work, so we just tried to, coordinate that together, I guess, to avoid duplication of work, so. Bridges we have, bridge culverts we have this year be one on 54, 76, 80, and then one for Fountain Prairie. 2025, we're currently looking at overlays on County Road 4. This one, we're probably gonna explore a possible concrete segment up to the elevator. County Road 13, 18, that'd be the federal job. Main Street in Edgerton, and then County Road 59 through Trosky. Bridge and culvert work we have programmed for 25 would be 3 on County Road 15. A widening on County Road 25, before that, for the regrade project there. Culverts on 79, 2 on 81, 1 for Troy Township and 2 for Sweet Township. 2026, we're recommending the seal coat project. Reconstruction of 25. But the thing that's catching me there is if the Holland project, which is waiting on a grant, if that comes in, then I don't know if we'd be able to do both in the same year. I don't know what it'd take for staffing and funding, so we may have to move this one, but I think we need to work around what Holland has planned. Cause, I don't know what type of timeline restrictions they would get on their grant, so I don't want to screw that up for them. So also you'll see here, I have, our County Road 24 project in there, that's, conjunction with their grant, so whenever they get their grant, I want to do our project. Or right after theirs. Either way, we're working with them, we want to hopefully save for everybody. Overlays programmed would be County Roads 1, 17, 16, 24 and 94. As you see, that's all in Holland, but really all depends on their grant, I guess, so. Bridge work, we're currently planning on to be County Road 77 and then 2 for Osborne Township. 2027 projects, we're looking at, considering now a gravel and tile project on our County Road 78, which goes by the colony. I think that road has some tile in it, so we'd have to probably try to figure out exactly where that's at first, but I highlighted the whole segment, but we could probably skip some of that if we can find tile there already. Do you by chance recall that? There is some?
Yep.
Okay, that's what I thought. We'll figure it out
I
later,
can
but,
tell you where.
oh. Make life easier for us then. Thank you. A bunch of bridges you'll see here. 4 of them on County Road 2. 1 on County Road 11, 3 on 16. 3 on County Road 53. 1 on 60. 2 on 80. 1 on 89, and then 1 for Etna Township. 2028. I put in there County Road 56, south of the McDonald's corner. That road has some soft spots we've had to work on before. I think we looked, I don't think we found any records for the last time it was regraded for at least a portion of that, so I think that's time for a regrade. I already reached out to the city. The storm sewer is undersized there and they want to do some utility work, so I'd like to coordinate this with them and maybe even a joint project, because I don't want to, pave it and then find out they need to cut holes through it, so so this project, I might want to switch that around, depending on what they plan on doing for their project, but
Nick, by that time, perhaps you'll know what the impact's gonna be then from the new gas station there as well too.
and it's also possible we might need to move it up, if it's quickly, I might need to work with them on trying to get it moved up, but I don't know what to expect there, to be honest, so. But yes, you are correct. We may even want to reconfigure that road a little bit, like for a turning lane or something. I don't know. Have to see what we have room for and what makes sense, so. Also, I have down an overlay for County Road 18, but Luke pointed out we have some conflicting info on our other map. We have that in a different year, so for right now, it's out a couple years at least, but we're acknowledging that road's coming up and needs to be done, so. More bridges and culverts, County Road 4, 2 on 10, 55, 57, 60, 62, 93, 2 for Sweet, 2 for Eden, and 1 for Troy. As you probably noticed, there's a ton of bridge and culvert work on here. I doubt they'll all get funded, but historically, we've worked ahead, tried to have things right away bought, permits in place, plans done, because we found out we have these shovel-ready projects sitting on the shelf. Sometimes when the state finds a little bit of extra money in an account they want to drain, they'll send out feelers like, hey, who's ready to go? And if we're ready to go, that money sometimes, so. So I don't think all this is gonna happen, but we're trying to plan for the best case scenario for us, so. Just trying to get all that additional funding we can, I guess, so. That being said, any questions or comments?
2025, 59 through Trotsky, is there sewer work gonna be done by then?
I believe so. We'll work around that too. I've been in contact with them on that. They're gonna dig a trench across the road.
Couple of them, I would think.
Right, they had reached out and they were either going to have to bore it for an insane amount of money or cut across our road. We just said, yeah, go
for it.
cut across the road. And I think I had said to them, like, you maintain the gravel patch, right, and then I think we asked them to pay for the extra mix for the patch when we do the overlay. I think that was the trade-off, and that's gonna be overall the cheapest option, so.
And a little clarification on the main street of Edgerton, none of that's been done yet, the overlay.
Correct.
So
It's milling for right now.
Yeah.
And I think they're gonna leave it. I think they're gonna mill it, cut the trenches for the lines, and then fill up to the milled height, and it's gonna stay like that over winter for settlement, and then it'll be overlaid after that. It's last I heard, subject to change, of course, depending on how far they get and if they need to change it, but I think bottom line is we're trying to coordinate and work with them so we're not ripping out new bituminous or we're trying to make a road that's smooth in the end, and
yeah, they aren't gonna take out the whole main street at one time. They're
Correct.
going up to the one corner and
Right.
going west.
yep.
It's gonna be a relatively long project, but
Mhm. But then it'll be good for a long time.
Yep.
So,
should be.
yes, yep.
Any other questions?
2026, the County Road 1 from Rock to Murray
Mhm.
didn't we talk about, in the past of widening that? Is that just-
Possibly. And if we do, we won't overlay it then.
You possibly will widen it then, or?
I should say we possibly just end it short. Like we wouldn't overlay something we're gonna tear up.
Right, but that's been in the works to overlay for, or not overlay, widen.
To widen,
forever.
yep,
Yeah,
yep.
that's why I'm asking. So.
And we'll probably start with, seeing what type of, kickback we get from locals, if any.
Right.
You know, maybe their support over the project. That'll probably change what we do, but
Okay.
we're gonna do,
You're gonna
Something
consider
in that-
widening?
yes.
or- Yeah,
yes.
okay.
Yeah, that's on probably my short list. When you look at the in slopes and shoulders of all of our roads, that's
It's
one that
it's
needs to be
narrow.
done.
It's one of the most.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
The one going north out of Edgerton from the C-store, I get a lot of complaints about that one too, so I can tell them 26.
That's the plan.
Okay.
We might
17.
That's
do,
this one right here.
17.
yeah, it's 17. It's
The
got,
hard portion of it. Not-
17, that's.
Yeah.
yeah, it's got cracks in it. Some of them are pretty wide. I think we might even try to do a little bit of patching there.
Tar filler.
Yep. Yeah, they're probably wider than normal, but that road is gonna be more, I think we're gonna have to mill and then overlay that one. You know, a lot of times we can just get away with overlaying.
At least I got something date to tell them anyway.
Yep, that's what we've been planning on, and I've had numerous calls about it, and they're, of course, want it to be 25, but I don't know if the money's there. We'll, if we could slide anything up, probably be that one, but, I don't know if that's gonna work money wise, but
Any other questions? I have one more. What happened to the signs on Highway 75? Are they gonna replace them?
which signs?
I know it's not your problem, but it's my problem.
Okay.
They took out the State Park sign. They took out the Turn to Trotsky sign. They took out the Edgerton sign. I read in the Tribune one time that they're gonna put all new signs on 75.
Okay.
But now they're gonna work on it next year. Do they take out the signs and then wait till they're gonna work on it? They're gonna- Just to,
Maybe they should have left him for another year.
well, yeah, I saw the guy there taking them out one day and I thought, oh, good, you're gonna put new ones in.
Usually don't do it that way, but hard to say.
Hard to say.
I understand the state sent out postcards in for a pre-construction or information meeting on Highway 75. Did you get notice of that as well too?
I think I did, but it happened already, right?
Yeah, I think the
Yeah.
letters just went out yesterday.
I think I was out of town when it. I remember the date right. Maybe I'm thinking of a different meeting, but there's one I got notification for that didn't work with my schedule.
And in those meetings, do they take public input at that point, or it's just informational, letting people know that there's a project? I don't know what. the
Yeah,
meeting-
sure, I've never been to one, so I don't know.
Did you guys see any of those postcards?
No. Thanks, Nick. I'm sorry about giving you a problem this year, not under your control, but
No problem. So you said it was for the
park in the cities.
park in Edgerton and Trotsky, you said?
those are the ones that are gone for sure. The no passing signs are still there, so
Sure.
for safety.
Right. Yeah. I'll check in with somebody.
Okay.
I'll see what they say.
Thank you.
Yep.
Mr. Chair, move to approve the 5-year construction plan.
Thank you. Is there a second for that? All in favor, say aye.
I,
All opposed, same sign.
Seconded, please.
Thanks, Nick.
Any other questions for me today? Otherwise, that's all I have.
one quick one, you mentioned the bridge project and so forth. I know what the floating scaffolding, any idea when they can start back up again or?
They tried to alter their course of action on how they were gonna do it. They were gonna go to a different phase of the project, but then after they thought about it some more, we met with one of the design people too. That's just really not gonna work. So, they're inventorying what they have for those dock pieces. Then they're gonna order however many they're short, however many they need back to replace it. And then they'll, rebuild it and get going on it.
That's still the best tool for accomplishing that job. They're just gonna have to wait for the water to go down.
Yeah, I bet it's probably even down enough. Yeah, I think the problem they ran into there was that it came up so fast and then one of the bumpers got stuck on the rough stone. They had these bumpers on to make sure the stone didn't get scuffed, like that's how picky they were about it. And then just kind of how that was shaped, it looks like it just got wedged in the stone and it couldn't rise like it needed to, so. I guess that's the treatment for doing a good job. So. But yeah, we have a plan going forward and, yeah, it'll just be a delay, they'll still get everything done, so.
Thank you. Kyle. You. Morning, Kyle.
I've got Merle Zeinster with me this morning. He's planning to modify his feedlot in section 25 of Fountain Prairie in southwest quarter. Sent notice out to the neighbors, put it in the paper. I can let Merle just kind of explain what he's planning to do and go from there.
My biggest goal in this project is to control the runoff. So I looked at 3 different options. The most feasible option was to put up 2 sheds. There'll be 50 by 500. There'll be, all the cattle will be under a roof. There'll be manure storage on each end of the barns. And then I will decommission my yards that I'm using as of right now.
Yeah, this has kind of been a problem site for a number of years. We did try to do a fix, probably in the early mid-90s.
Mid-90s.
It did not work. It's pretty much just south of the north branch of the Pipestone Creek. So it's kind of the headwaters of Pipestone Creek too. So it's been this is probably the best plan that there is out there, is just to eliminate them, because there is no other way of containing that manure other than storing it, and storage is quite expensive for that location and the amount of yards, so. The site's gonna have 999 animal units when it's done. And I think Merle's planning to start fairly soon.
Hopefully at this summer.
Well, is there pits underneath the new ones?
Nope,
or
it-
It just gets.
it's just flat, it's flat concrete. When I put a hoop barn over top of that, so the water runs off. So there will be no rainwater in the cattle yards.
And then, like you said, each end of the barn will have about a 50 by 50.
50 by 50 storage pad for storing manure during the seasons where you can't haul it.
And I haven't received any comments, concerns from neighbors. It's mainly just, it's an existing site just being modified.
Merle, are you gonna increase your animal units?
We'll be increasing by 99 head.
Yeah, right now it's registered for 900. So yeah, he wanted it to be at 999 when it's all done.
Okay. And that will still be in compliance with all of the state standards for manure management and so forth.
Yep. Great.
Yeah, and this is just public notice, so our public hearing, we don't take action on this, right? This
Just
is.
for information.
Yep. Merle, just appreciate your financial investment in it and doing the right things, stewardship. Realize that it's always a very delicate situation with neighbors, and hopefully the neighbors also feel that you're taking the right steps there for them as well too, so.
Any other questions, comments? Thank you.
Thank you.
Wayne.
Good morning.
Morning, Wayne.
I got some bids for the roofing project here for the law enforcement. I got 2 bids. Olson from Falls was $122,631, and that don't include the tin work on there. The other bid is from All Elements out of Monticello. And their bid is $164,550. That does include all the tin work. And difference between these two is Dawson is putting the rock back up. In Monticello, it is a PVC roof, mechanically fastened down and no rock. So my recommendation is to go Monticello bid,
On a sell bid.
$164,550. And then we'll get the extra warranty on that for $2,915.
That sounds like a bargain, that extra 5 years for 2,900.
Yep.
Question. Are they gonna do the installation over the existing or remove it?
It'll probably be removed. If it's bad, they'll remove it.
Okay.
Mr. Chair,
Go ahead.
Doug and I, building committee met with this as well too. And our understanding was that it's going all the way down to the concrete deck. Also, from my interpretation too, I believe that one of the differences was that with the all elements, we're not gonna have quite as much insulation, not quite as much R value. But we also felt for the cost difference, that little bit of heat loss really didn't make sense. So Doug, anything to add as well too? I felt that
Well, and my big thing was probably the, putting the rock back on or not.
yeah,
I feel using the all elements without the rock on, that if we do have a leak, there's a good chance we could probably find where it's going. With the
Yeah.
rock on there, it's just, you cannot find the leak, you know, so that was my big thing for going with all elements.
and we kind of almost have to accept the fact that 20 years is about all you're gonna get out of a flat
It
roof,
looks
no matter
like it.
what you do. So does it really make sense to spend
Doesn't look
twice the money? So I felt comfortable with this recommendation going with all elements. Doug, you do as well.
Yeah, and I'd make a motion to approve the all elements bid with the 20-year warranty option.
Is there a second for that motion?
I'll second.
A discussion, looks like there's a taper from 2 to 6 inches, so it's got somewhere for the water to go, or a direction for the water to go.
From my experience too with re-roofing things, you've seen everyone shift away from the rock on the roof too, so it's kind of.
And Wayne, if I remember right, they can get this project done yet this season, if I recall. In fact, did they give you a tentative start date or?
The guys gotta come down and do all the final measurements.
Also, the atrium area with the glass and so forth, this doesn't include that. We're gonna address that separately yet.
There's another company to come down and they said they can restore that.
Yeah.
And then they're gonna bid
Yeah.
stuff too at the same time.
And we're not so sure with that atrium that it's necessary to remove all that glass, now that we don't have the icing problem we had before, because now we got the drainage with the new storm sewer going out through the parking lot. That was why it was backing up so bad before. So we're taking a different look at that.
Any other discussion? All in favor, say aye. All opposed, same sign. Carried. Thanks, Wayne.
Fairgrounds. I got a grant and I replaced the 2 east doors in the horse barn and the 3 south doors in the sheep barn. That was done by Midwest Overhead Door, Denny Schmidt out of Edgerton. And then the open class building. I don't know if you noticed when he went to bomb guards, he put 3 big 4 55-inch fans in the south end of the open class building to try to move the air 4 to 5 miles an hour during the fair to keep that building cooler, because it's really hot in that building.
And with those doors, you had previously replaced some of those doors. So how
I
many are
did that.
left now?
I did the west barn and 2 horse barn doors last year.
Yep.
And then I did the north door in the sheep barn.
Are there any more doors that need attention going
Well,
forward or?
The other 2 doors on the north end are sliding doors, but it's on concrete.
Yep.
So they don't dig into the ground.
And they're in good shape.
They're good shape, so.
Oh,
What the project's gonna be next year, we'll see.
You'll find something, right?
yep.
Yeah.
Money like that.
Never ends.
Oh, yeah.
Yep. I understand with the usage of the fairgrounds, with a horseman show, cattleman show, some other things with this rain, we've had some running problems out there and appreciate you getting that cleaned up and, yep.
On the south side of the fence.
How are the plans for the fair going?
Good.
Good.
Yes. The sponsorship of the fair was way up this year, so there's could be a lot more activities on during the fair.
Good. Any other things for Wayne? Thank you.
Yep.
Jason, we're early, but you're here, so.
Good morning.
You didn't bring Rod Sprunk today. He's in Florida, right?
Baggage, I got.
Well, thank you. This is my annual visit to give a brief overview of our audit and some activities from the last year. So I'll just get right into it. Lincoln Pipestone secured the services of Kinner and Company consultant. We also outsource for our audit review. That was performed, the 2023 audit was performed by Wollenberg Ritzman and Company out of Yankton, South Dakota. This is our second year with this firm. The accounting firm rendered the opinion for the audit clean and fair, which is always good for us. I'll refer, the audit should have been sent electronically, and I'll just refer to 3 pages on there. So keep it brief. On page 5, the net position, total assets for the end of the year for Lincoln Pipestone equated to $93,706,000, which is roughly about a $440,000 increase over 2022. The liabilities as of the end of the year, $34,136,000, which was a $250,000 decrease. We have a little over 10 million or 17% is unrestricted. That is using for ongoing operation and obligations. A lot of it is board designated reserve accounts. On that page, you will see the deferred outflows, inflows that is specific for para. The total net position as of the end of the year was $59,560,620. That is an increase of $367,000. On page 6, you'll see at the top, you'll see the charges for services, grants, and investment income or our revenue. And that was $9,509,000. That was just a slight decrease of $191,000 or 2% from the prior year. The total operating expenses was $9,141,000. That happened to be an increase of $331,000. And I always remind everybody that Lincoln Pipestone funds depreciation. It is shown as expenses in the audit, but any grant dollars and money from hookups is not reported as operating income, but as equity. On flipping to page 7, at the top, you'll notice the for the year. That entailed $66,619,000. Very stable from the year prior, and you can see the 2 bulleted points there, vehicle additions and add-ons. Those were our main assets that we achieved last year. Below that shows the breakdown of those capital assets. The system improvements as seen in the bullet points, the undepreciated cost of those physical assets was $123,927,000. That is an increase of $700,000 since the prior year. The depreciation on those assets totaled a little over $3 million. On the bottom of the page, probably the most keyed item looked at is the total outstanding debt. Our revenue bonds outstanding for the year end was 30,642,000. That was a decrease of 1.2 million from the year prior, or 3.8%. And that's been that way for a second consecutive year. We've done very good at reducing our debt load over the years. I think we had a high of, I believe, 46 million. So we've knocked off a lot. However, we are gearing up, and you'll learn more about that here in a little bit. We haven't done any projects yet with additional funds from rural development. When we get into that world, we have another federal audit that's involved. We didn't have to do that this year, so it makes it very clean for us. That is kind of the summary of our audit. As far as the activities, in 2023, Lincoln Pipestone connected 52 new rural customers. So that falls right in the boundaries of where we're at. Each year, not in an expansion. We've gone from mid-40s to about mid-80s. So we're kind of right in the middle. As far as Pipestone County is concerned, we did hook up 5 new customers in the county, and all 5 of them are on the assessment rolls. Yeah.
Jay, and with the new connects, I know years ago it was much less expensive when we were first starting to build out your system, but now it's gotten to be a pretty considerable connection fee. Is that correct?
I would say it's high compared to probably other systems. However, not
Cost of labor, cost of materials. I'm
Yep.
not demeaning that at all. It's a realization of people trying to develop that. That's an issue now.
Yep. And I'll let you know that the cost to a regular hookup without additional piping is $18,500.
And I guess that was my question that I was getting at. So it's up to 18,000 now. Yeah.
Yep. In perspective with our other neighboring systems, they all fall within the same.
Right.
So it seems the process is charge accordingly for a hookup, but allow the rates to maintain to be low. And we see that with our sister organizations across the border, where it's the other way around. So the rates are a little higher, the
Yeah,
water
but-
rates. They're capturing their capital on that end.
On the other end, on the actual water itself.
Yep. So, no, very good question. So yeah, 5 were hooked up last year in Pipestone County, and they are on the assessment roll. As far as the activities are concerned, we are gearing up for a lot of capital improvement projects. The main one that we're focused on right now is the North Water Source Project. That is a source up by the community of Boyd. We have secured a chunk of ground for the treatment plant site. We are currently heavily in design mode. We have received $5.75 million from the state of Minnesota, so we're getting the final documentation and paperwork to get that squared away, and we're hoping that we can get some bidding started on that yet this fall.
What type of treatment plant are you going to design up there?
So that's going to be very similar to our burr source on the north end, with purpose too, to make it compatible. It will be a lime softening treatment plant up there. Fairly good quality water. Hardness is a little high, but with lime softening, it'll bring it down. We project into the high teens. So
Your treatment plant that you've got east of Pipestone here, that was the reverse osmosis, and you no longer can use that treatment plant. I understand it, yeah.
So that treatment plant actually had 2 treatment processes. The RO is now out of commission. And so our best quality water in our system is no longer.
Yeah, and that's so unfortunate, because that RO was such a terrific, but
Yep.
the high nitrate outflow and
Yeah. So then that, good segue. The other projects that we're working on are our Holland plant. We are looking at biota, the process of using bacteria to convert nitrates into nitrite and into nitrogen gas and gas off. So we are eliminating nitrates essentially from the system by gassing it off. Now, there's an expense to that. Our engineers are projecting about $11.5 million for this project. I've gone to the state, we've gotten approved bonding for. So we're still needing to get at least half more, from other avenues. But that's, we're working on design of that. We did a pilot back in 2013 that did that. And we had a lot of success. We took our highest nitrate water, which was roughly around 20 parts per million. What does that mean? The national standard is at 10 parts per million. So we were double the standard. So we wouldn't be able to use that. But we took that 20 parts per million down to under 1, essentially. We had to wait. A lot of things happened. We had to wait for approval from the state to allow this process to be used. But in the interim, the city of Cold Spring actually has biota, this process in play in their system. Not because they necessarily had high nitrate problems to deal with. My understanding is that they were forced to use a different source because the source that the city of Cold Spring was near a stream reach, which was designated trout stream. So they had to find a different source, and then that led to the development of biota process. So anyway,
Your well field north of town here, are you in a trial period where there's a new small grain that's supposed to help reduce nitrates? Can you elaborate on that at all, or?
When you say small grain, right?
Yeah,
So we did a test with a pilot study with U of M, using Kernza.
Kernza, I couldn't remember the name of that crop, Kernza, yeah. How effective has that been?
It was effective at the local level. And when I say local level is when Lincoln Pipestone has large capture areas. So putting Kernza into the field approach or into the field setting worked wonderful at the local level. It scoured nitrates, but it's not the iron curtain for the aquifer that's flowing underneath it.
Right.
And that was our dilemma. Now, if the whole landscape was to change to involve that, then we would have an impact. It's a great tool to use if we can spot particular areas, hotspots. That might be a very good tool to use. Our pilot study ended, much success. I think they're trying to get Kernza into a niche market, working with the U of M heavily on that. It was a great project to be part of. But I'm not a farmer. I'm a water guy. And so that it was done, and we hope for another one down the road.
But that makes sense, of course, that the Kernza helps with any more additional nitrate coming from the surface, but the stuff that's subterranean, obviously it's not going to pull that out of there.
Yeah. Concepts, we even thought about making an iron wall of ourselves, of having a Kernza around our well field, but in reality, the water will flow underneath it because the Kernza roots, although they go very deep, like prairie plants do, once they get to the water, they don't need to go any further. So, regarding our water source at Holland, during the drought period, this is the education moment now. During the drought period, we were not able to use our furthest east wells because they are a slightly shallower profile than the wells west toward Highway 75. And this is just at Holland treatment plant specific. The concentration of nitrates increased. We were near 9.5, 9.6. Okay. We're still under the threshold of providing good, safe drinking water, but the concern was it's legit. We have the ability to manage that source so we don't produce bad, high nitrate water. But in doing so, we're down to 2 wells. There's 6 at that location and 2 at our North Holland water source. The 2 up there are out of commission. So we're scrambling to do something here. in full design mode. Now with all this rain that we've had, changed a little bit. The other way, and now our nitrates actually are showing a little bit of decrease. We're in the high eights, mid 8 parts per million. I think the dilution factor is kicking in on that.
And then those wells to the east, then that water level has come up then with all of this.
It's come up, but we turn them on and it's, so we suspect that higher profile in the aquifer is where the nitrate is more rich, more laden than in the lower profile. So we're learning all these.
It's interesting, the
New-
science behind this.
Yeah. So, but we have to look to prepare for the future. So we're in design mode with that. So, we also have funding for some additional storage up north, at our Burr facility. We did get funding for that, 2.5 million for that, and additional state bonding of 5 million for other system improvements. So the state, I've gone to the Capitol, I've preached, state has listened, and they're very gracious for all of that. It's still probably not enough to keep increases for our customer base low, but it's been very gracious from the state to get this. We are in design mode for a new office shop complex that's being built as you go out of Lake Benton to the north. It's up on the top of the hill because we love wind. We decided to put a place up there. We've outgrown our office. It's a house. It's been renovated, and through COVID, we discovered some significant issues having that, including during board commission meetings. So we are in design, and that's going pretty well so far. In 2023, actually in 2022, but officially in 23, we hooked up our 36th community, the city of Rushmore. Okay. Yep, that was completed in the fall of 2022. We still continue to have a lot strong interest from rural and the municipal customers. We've got 2 other communities, one north and one south, that are seeking to get connected to Lincoln Pipestone. And we also have additional cost estimates for other communities throughout our system. So the demand is still there.
Financially, is that gonna be beneficial for the system as a whole? Or is the cost of supplying that water gonna offset any growth that you have from that increased volume?
Speaking on behalf of the city, hooking up to a rural water system is something that should be looked at. May not be the ultimate answer for a community, but in the grand scheme of things, what Lincoln Pipestone has done is secure additional water sources, and the concept of bulk, of scale.
Efficiencies.
Yes, really comes into play. When you think of a small community and having to look at redoing their treatment or maintaining workforce and labor for that treatment or whatever the case may be, it's a hard pill for sometimes to swallow. And they have pursued also funding sources to help with it. We are considered an option when cities look at it, so, yeah. Speaking of water sources, Lincoln Pipestone did acquire an additional 500,000 gallons per day. So we are up to 1.7 million gallons per day from the water source out of Iowa. So we bought an additional 500,000 gallons there. And through the efforts of our directors representing Lewis and Clark, we are going to be the recipient of an additional 660,000 gallons a day from Lewis and Clark from the expansion. The state of Minnesota gave Lewis and Clark a bunch of money advance, not expecting it back. But the rules were that if the feds were to pay it back, it would come back to the state. Believe it or not, the feds provided all the funding of the advancement to Lewis and Clark, and it's coming back through the state. Our directors had the foresight to say, you know, this money, the 39 million that was gratis to Lewis and Clark, that's now being returned. why don't we make good use of it? We don't need all 39 million. We would like to secure 22 million of that to turn around and get the 4 entities, us, Laverne, Worthington, and Rock County Rural Water, their expanded volume. So a bill passed at the Capitol to do that very thing. So we're gonna be the recipient of 660,000 gallons for Lincoln Pipestone. And the state of Minnesota is helping us pay for that. So that's a huge victory for us. So, like I said, Lincoln Pipestone has been very, very fortunate. We've received in total 17.25 million from the state in bonding. We did receive 28.3 million in a mix of low interest loan grant from rural development for this North Water Source project. Regarding my bosses, last year, he chuckles. Mitch Kling, who represents Yellow Medicine, Lackapaw and Redwood County, and Bill Ufkin, who is currently our chairman and serves Lyon County, were approved to serve another 4-year term. By the end of this year, there will be 2 commissioners retiring from our board. Frank Engels, who is represents portions of Lincoln and Lyon County, and Brent Fikema, who is down in Murray and Nobles County. So Earl has the north part of Murray and Brent has the south part of Murray. They are not returning as of the end of the year. A couple of notes, Brent has been on the board since 2013, serving 11 years. Frank is one of the founding fathers of our organization. He started on the steering committee in 1977. So he has served, there's a lot of institutional knowledge with him that we're going to be sorely missed. But yes, we are preparing for filling of their districts as we speak. So that's what I have to offer.
You gotta let Earl talk. I haven't seen him this quiet for a long time.
You should see the board meeting.
Correction was the better part of that.
There you go. I talked to you about Ghent. Did you ever get a hold of the mayor of Ghent?
I did try to reach out to him. Him and I have not connected.
Connected it yet? Okay.
Yep, but we'll make sure that we connect. And I offered my attendance at a city council meeting.
Okay.
So,
Thank you for following up on that.
absolutely.
You're aware that in Pipestone County, we're working with Woodstock Telephone to expand our broadband capability and so forth. So obviously there'll be, coordination, cooperation with their digging process with the contractors with you guys, and you're fully aware of that, I'm sure.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
Yep. Between communications and wind towers,
Yes,
our guys love locates.
that's right.
Any other questions?
Thank you very much.
Thank you for coming. Just for my knowledge, what type of, is that a joint powers? Is that it's not a co-op, I know that.
Rural water.
Thinking rural. Is it a private company? Should have asked him, I guess.
Yeah.
I don't remember seeing it in joint powers.
No, it's not a joint powers. We got no governance over them. It's, we're involved with the financial part of it,
As far as taxes.
as far as taxes. Yeah.
As far as they'll put the hookups on their taxes.
He did mention a PERA fund, so they must be
State something.
something, I don't know, connection there.
Tell you more about the Ghent story in my committee reports, so. Let's see, the Zoom is scheduled for 7:30. That's hard, right?
Yes, that's hard to pass.
Okay. How about a letter to HHS? Dan, you wanna?
Thank you for letting us add that to the agenda. Help me out on this as well too, but at our last Health and Human Services meeting, it was presented to us that there's been some concerns about some new proposed licensing standards for family childcare providers. And the standard itself, they gave us some examples of some of the new regulations. I don't recall all of them off the top.
Well, there's so many, I don't think she could remember
Yeah.
all actually. So,
The one was like, you have to have a rubber mat now.
playground.
Yeah, you can't just have ground up sawdust or chips like they used to. It had to be a rubber mat was one of them.
Couldn't have any exposed black dirt
Yeah,
was one of them.
they encourage them to have gardens for the
Yeah.
young people.
But no dirt.
But no black dirt.
The dirt has to be tested for lead.
So yeah, there's a lot of extra testing,
Testing, yeah.
but yeah, there was a lot of them.
And nobody was disputing, obviously, the need to safeguard the healthy environment for our children. But it was that these rules, just there's no common sense to them, and it's very onerous. And we already realize how difficult childcare is for our workforce and for our children. So this is just gonna make it that much worse. So some of the items in the letter, so we did approve through Health and Services for Health and Consumer Services to sign. In fact, Greg Berger, who's our governing board chair, signed this copy you got in front of you. But we're asking the legislators then to postpone any of these prohibitive charges, the financial strain on the rural providers. Talked about the shortage and the economic impacts on the families, and asking them specifically to reject any of the upcoming legislation focused on increasing regulatory standards. So I guess what our ask from Healthy Services then to this governance body is, we would like to also have every one of the 6 counties involved in Health and Human Services, each one of those county boards, to also send a letter like this to our legislators.
That coming as a motion?
Is question.
Look.
Well, I'm totally in favor of this. I think it should also be sent to like committee chairs rather than just our legislators, because our legislators probably weren't the ones that passed this in the first place.
Yep.
So, I mean, it really needs to also go to those that are making
DHS.
those, well, or the majority in the legislature who, you know, trying to push for some of this.
Because we realize, you know, with our representatives down here and the senators down here, that they're still just a small part of that whole legislative body. And they themselves don't have the political muscle to force things themselves. It needs to be a collaborative effort. So I agree with you that it should go to more than just these guys, so. I'll make a motion, but first I'll ask Steve if he would mind penning a letter for us. Kind of, would you need help? You can use this as a template, and
Sure. Is there anything else you want in it, any specifics or anything, or?
I think the body of the letters presented is pretty good, but like Luke had mentioned, maybe we need to expand who we send it to.
Is this for proposed legislation in the next session, or were they doing this?
Did they actually pass something this
I don't think
session?
it's not passed yet. Yeah, is it? No, I don't think it is.
But I'm not so sure that these new standards have to go through legislation. I think isn't it up to DHS?
It's just doing it through the agencies?
The agencies. Yeah, so
Oh.
but in any case, yes, I'll make the motion that we do proactively have our voice heard, how onerous this would be on our childcare. How we go about that, we'll have to figure out.
Then the details to be ironed out later.
Yeah.
Who it's sent to and who.
And do you guys want to see the final draft letter before we send it, or just go ahead and wordsmith it for us?
Ask Steve if he's comfortable with
I'm
that.
fine with that.
Yeah.
I'll just use this as a template.
Yeah.
But yeah, maybe it
More
should go
information
to
to
the
us.
secretary of that department or whatever.
Maybe we can check with Beth and see if she's got more information for us, who else we could
Yeah,
contact.
she would know who to have.
Any other discussion? Motion on the floor, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign, that carried.
Thank you, Steve.
You know,
Harry, you ready?
Maybe,
Maybe?
not sure how much detail to share. So we finished our first round of interviews for the highway maintenance worker position. We had 2 no-shows. One person withdrew because of a medical issue that had arisen for them. So we actually conducted 3 interviews in our first round and we basically chose our top 2 candidates to call and just discuss the wages and you know, a lot of these people are over the road truck drivers and they make a lot of money. So one of those people said there was no way we could get to a point where this would work for him. And but Brian Nihas, I probably am mispronouncing that and I'm sorry for
Nias,
butchering.
I think it's
Nias?
Nias, I believe it is.
He agreed that if we could offer him the B21 step C at 25.05 per hour, that he could accept the position. Nick and Jared and I met on that and kind of reviewed the structure of existing staff and their work history and just made sure that this was a fair offer for everybody on the staff, knowing that this is going to be transparent and open, and that's what they think is fair. So that is what led to this moment.
And has he agreed to?
If we can
Sign
get
on.
this approved, then he will accept the position. And then we have reopened, we went back through our applicant pool. Everyone that was selected in the first round had a CDL in existing. 2 of the candidates that we had not selected for first round had it in progress. So we are conducting 2 more interviews this week to try and extend to those best, that, you know, the top candidates that we can go forward instead of re-advertising and starting from scratch.
But Brian doesn't need to go, we don't need to send him for,
No, he has a CDL and he's ready to go.
makes him worth more right off the bat.
He has 30 years of over the road experience and definitely, I believe the 25.05 is more than fair for what he brings to the table.
Is this position the grader operator or just a general?
This is
all-around?
more the truck drive. So we have 2 that are kind of full-time, like driving the gravel trucks and that type of thing. And then we have 1 position that will be more the grader operator. Our top candidate was the one that had some heavy equipment grader operator experience, but we couldn't get there on wage. So we'll just continue looking. Right.
Yeah,
Do we have to make a motion on this? Do we have to?
I don't know.
Anything to, according to policy, anything above a step B has to go to the board, so department heads can offer and personnel can offer to a step B and go through myself, but when we go to a C, we have to get the board.
This is C.
Yeah.
Mr. Jared moved to approve.
Is there support for that?
Yes, there is.
Heard by Dan. Any-
Questions?
Any other questions?
Always got questions, you know. So any unintended consequences of this with our other workers, make sure, again, we never want to slide our, we got good workers already, so that's always my concern. I understand completely, people having to take a reduction in their salary to change positions, but yet we also know there's more involved. You know, he's making the choice to come off the road. He wants to be home at nights.
He does. And we had a long conversation about that. So that I feel like is kind of my job, is
Yeah.
to sell the pros and cons of this position.
Exactly.
The pros are, you know, the cafeteria plan that we offer here, knowing
Yep.
some young children still in his house, even though he's very experienced
Right.
and so
Work environment.
the
home
other
environment.
gentleman
Yeah.
is in a younger stage of life where that dollar, you know, just
Everybody's
we
in a
just
different
couldn't get there.
situation, so, and I don't by any means demean anybody by saying that they, you know, that they have made that decision. That's a decision they had to make themselves too. And we, as an employer, we have to provide the best work environment we can, and we also need to reward our people, but we also still have to be aware of the financial restraints and the burden it is on our levy on our taxpayers. So I understand all that, so it's
trust that Jared and Nick looked at the entire staff. They had a listing of each person and where they were at with their years of experience and where their step was. So I watched them go through that analysis. I'm not experienced enough with that structure here to help with that, but they did We discussed it at length, so I believe that, I trust that they have gone through that exercise.
And I'm sure Brian is gonna be a good fit for our crew as well too, so I'm happy about this. And we still have one more position open, two more positions open,
Yes, more position.
but you only interviewed two people because
We interviewed
that's all we
three.
could.
One of the candidates, although qualified,
Wasn't gonna
we're
be-
not sure. We're not sure yet. So we're still working through the process of completing a review of all applicants. And the next two interviews are tomorrow, so should know more by the end of this week.
Okay, I'll call the question. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Carried. Thank you, Gary. Recess till 10:30. And it's a hard 10:30, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
I know I asked a lot of questions.
Hi Kathy, can you hear me?
Call the meeting
Yes,
back.
yes, I can.
Oh, great. Sounds good. We are back in session. Oh, there you are. Good to see you.
Hi.
Welcome to our board meeting. I'll turn it
Oh.
over to you if you're ready to
Oh.
go.
Great, thank you. Thank you for having me join you today. I know we wanted to talk to you about the statewide affordable housing aid funding that you've had. So again, my name is Kathy Greiner. I'm the executive director here at Rebuilding Together Minnesota. We'll talk about the funding that you have. I'm going to give you a little bit of background about Rebuilding Together. My understanding is that my colleague sent over a slide presentation.
Yes.
Okay. Is that possible to share that?
He's working on it, so.
Okay, great, thank you.
Let's see. I'm not sure where to share that from. I have it in my,
With the
No.
arrow pointing out, if you share your screen.
It's either that or I believe I have a copy and can bring it up if that would work easier for you guys.
Or
if you got it on your end,
I
can
do.
you share it from your end?
I believe so. Let
Yep.
me pull it up.
It's not on the board agenda. I'd have to go back through
you
everything.
might have to give her.
The board has copies of the layout too. The board does have, everyone has. a
Okay.
copy.
Okay, is that easier if I just go through and just tell you next page?
Go right ahead. The media's here.
right.
Too. You've got a copy of it too. So we've got
All
your
right.
slide.
Great. Again, thank you for having me. For more than 25 years, we've been working year-round to sustain healthy neighborhoods, ensuring our neighbors in need can live independently and safely and with dignity in their own homes. And that should be page number 2 on the presentation deck.
Yep.
Our mission is repairing homes, revitalizing communities, and rebuilding lives. From our initial founding in 1997 and our first 2 projects, we've grown to support the ongoing housing repair needs found across our state. This includes our invitation to Southwest Minnesota and the support provided through dedicated local staff to ensure our programs to deliver the support most relevant to the community. We believe that all Minnesotans are deserving of safe and dignified housing and have built a portfolio of responsive programs to serve our neighbors in need. So our programs consist of Safe at Home, which makes critical home repair, home safety repairs, and supportive fall prevention measures for older adults and those living with a disability, so they can continue to live in safety and independence in their own homes. Accessibility ramps into and out of the home are a signature deliverable of this program. Our home repair program makes critical repairs that best support a family in need. This can include repairs like plumbing or electrical repairs, as well as our signature roof replacement program. Thanks to additional funding, we've also expanded our offerings to include manufactured housing. And then lastly, our programs do a limited support of community resources such as parks and community gardens when we have groups of volunteers that are big enough to warrant that space. So we also support local nonprofits with some of those needed repairs and modifications so that it improves their ability to impact the communities we serve. We expand the impact beyond an individual home to the broader community. And then now we should be on page 5. Across the 5-county area, we have supported about 186 neighbors in need with critical repairs in 2023. That includes Murray, Pipestone, Nobles, Cottonwood, and Jackson counties. Okay. My apologies. Something just went goofy on my computer. Okay, so across those 5 counties, 26 of the households we worked in had female head of household. 30% of those households had children in them, where insecure housing can impact overall learning, health, and well-being. 34% had at least one resident living with a disability, where housing insecurity is disproportionately higher among those living with a disability. And 42% had at least one older adult in the home. And that's a area where aging in place is desired and multi-generational housing is increasingly common.
Hey there, Kathy.
Hello, Kim.
So sorry, I was coming from another meeting.
All right,
And I'm
folks,
happy to jump in.
I am going to, we do a tag team with this presentation. So I am going to introduce Kim Peterson, our development director, to give you a few of the slides, and then I'll come back and we'll do questions at the end.
Awesome. So yeah, specifically in Pipestone County, we've steadily grown to support 6 homeowners and 8 residents since 2021. And with your support this year, we are poised to grow our programming to meet critical repair needs of 5 homeowners and feel that we can sustain this commitment through 2027. In addition, on average, we'd like to work to ensure that at least 12.5% of our projects across the entire Southwest region are completed in Pipestone County itself. And that just ensures that equitable work is being done between the counties based on need. So with the sustained investment and collaborative partnership, we believe we can make a substantial and powerful impact for neighbors in need across Pipestone County. And this investment would allow us to triple our current scale in the county, matching equitable levels of service in the region and addressing critical repair needs for 6% of the total identified need by the end of 2027. And we use MHP's county reports to understand the total households that might be affected or impacted by the work that we do specific to the county. So we proudly work to support closing home ownership gaps by serving homeowners at an equitable rate of cultural diversity or better. While the current rate of service is very impressive, the sample size is quite small and things would probably equalize as we scale. But we are committed to serving BIPOC homeowners at 14.5% or better, as that's representational for the county. Our work also supports those in most economic need, serving those at or below 50% area median income for their household size. And in Pipestone County, we have only served those below 50% at the moment, and would expect to see some at or below 30% AMI as well as we expand the work. So when looking at our indicators of success, we work to ensure that we are meeting equitable targets so that our programs are indeed serving the entire community targets, the entire community across lines of difference. So in Pipestone County, we're again working with a smaller sample size. So our commitment would be to ensure we maintain service to at least 8% women homeowners. 27% of those residents served should be children in the home, 13% living with disabilities, and 20% should be older adults, with about 7.8% of veterans. So this work would not be possible without a coalition of amazing volunteers who step forward to support their neighbors in need. Across the Southwest region last year, we saw 67 volunteers donating approximately 539 hours of labor, which is an investment of sweat equity totaling over $41,000. We believe in the power of keeping things local and are grateful for the continued support of community partners, foundations, corporations who ensure that this kind of work can continue. Whether it be in-kind support and donations to collaborative funding, referrals, we consistently look to work in partnership with related community focus groups to ensure that homeowners receive the holistic support that they need. We are an experienced partner with funding from state, county, municipal, and national level resources, and this experience allows us to support Pipestone County with best practices for reporting based on our working relationships with these funding entities. These sources have increased our capacity to match growing community need, and as you know, financial investment like these are vital to improving the quality of life for residents and creating the systemic impacts needed that support communities long term.
Rebuilding lives. We know that our programs do much more than just repairing a home or improving a community. The impact of neighbors helping neighbors, of your community not only seeing your need, but rallying to support you in solving for it. It's nothing short of life-changing. Keeping people in their homes ensures more folks stay in the communities they love, stabilizing those communities. Keeping people in their homes improves existing housing stock, building and protecting pathways to generational wealth and access to supportive mid-range housing. Keeping people in their homes stabilizes families, reducing the potential of families becoming unhoused. Throughout my time working with Rebuilding Together Minnesota, I have met many, many homeowners, and many of them stick in my mind. And I want to share, one is an older adult who had a hard time getting in and out of her house. She had steps down to the sidewalk that went out to her garage, and she would have a hard time getting in and out of the house because she didn't have a ramp. So what she would do is set her walker beside the steps. She would turn around and scoot herself backwards up her steps just to get in the house. And then when she got in the house, she would reach through the kitchen window to pull her walker into the house. So when our team showed up, our volunteer team showed up to install a handicap ramp for her, it truly made a difference for her because she could come and go in her home more easily. She could go out and do the things she needed and reconnect with her community much more easily. So we know that repairing homes is far more than crossing off an item on one's to-do list because we've looked at the results of our work across the country. We found that 67% of families are less stressed about their home, and over half report improved mental health following the repairs that we do. We've seen maintenance costs reduced for over a quarter of recipients, and with 70% of those looking to pass their home on to the next generation, this sets them up for success, keeping more generations of families in their communities. Nearly 90% of residents who are considering other alternatives now feel safe enough to age in place, which we know increases the overall health and well-being even further. As you consider moving forward with this funding, we hope you will consider Rebuilding Together Minnesota so we can continue to grow to meet the need within Pipestone County. We're excited to partner with you and welcome the opportunity to answer any questions you might have at this time.
Also got a question for them. We also are part of the Southwest Minnesota Opportunity Council, SMOC, that serves Pipestone, Rock, Nobles, and Murray County. And they also have a weatherization program and heating utility payments. I know at one time they had housing rehabilitation with both electrical and plumbing upgrades.
Okay.
Does this replace that, or does this work in conjunction with that, or how does this relationship, is it a duplication?
It works in conjunction with that. Most of our work, we look to community partners for that weatherization work, and we'll let them do that. A lot of times weatherization programs, they can't do their work if someone needs a new roof. Because they don't have the resources to replace the roof. So we can work in partnership with them. We'll replace the roof. They do the weatherization and the family has a safer home. So we work in conjunction with local folks already.
I don't believe that SMOC ever did do the volunteer work along with it too. I think that was all paid contractors.
We do a mixture of that. So we do, we're never going to put a volunteer group on a roof. So we will hire roofing contractors to do all of that work. Most of the work we do with volunteers is the stuff that doesn't require a license or a specific skill. And so we do a combination of contractors and volunteers so that we can get the most work for the family, but also bring the community back together. Helping your neighbors has a really impactful, is really impactful for bringing a community together and seeing that folks care about you.
But your program that are rebuilding together works in conjunction with SMOC. It's not intended to replace or compete with them. You guys
No.
are partners.
Yep.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Luke.
I was just curious, how do you identify those people in need, and then how do you select the people you serve?
So we have an application process. We take the applications through an online portal. They fill out their demographics as far as their income and the home ownership status. And then they tell us give us a list of what they need. And we look at the funding that we have. One of the advantages we have is that we do have several pipelines of funding from Minnesota Housing, the Department of Human Services, and USDA. We have several dollars already that we can bring to the community to do the repair work. What we're looking for with this funding that you're considering is the help for us to keep the staffing local and to keep the lights on in an office so that we're able to deliver the programs more effectively.
Yeah, building off what Kathy brought forward, I'll also say that we have a really strong success rate with referral programs. So be that through community resources like places of worship or through county services, these things really benefit a homeowner and a household receiving all of the support that they might need at any given time. So those have been really strong in growing our accessibility to the masses. And then, as Kathy points out, our local staff has been really key and critical in making sure that the community knows that we are here, that our presence is invited and welcomed and supported on a local level as well. So those things kind of all work together. Yeah, and we're currently in a state where we are building pipelines and able to serve the vast majority of the people who come in some capacity or another. So it's an ongoing growth opportunity for sure. The need is great.
Well, then, do I understand you're asking then for a specific financial commitment then for Pipestone County? Is that what you're asking?
Yes, I think we have had success with what we're calling the SAHA funds. The statewide affordable housing aid has been a great boon to sustaining our work in counties long term. So yes, I believe in some counties we've seen as high as like 75% of that money being allocated towards our work, which allows us to spread that over the next 3 to 4 years and set some measurable targets at work for the county to demonstrate our growth in that space. So of course, we're open to working with you all on whatever feels most comfortable, and we can present some opportunities as we see them based on a dollar amount that feels comfortable for you all.
And again, I'd mentioned SMOC previously. You know, SMOC gets all their funding through grants, whether it be state or federal grants, housing
Yeah.
assistance grants. So that's not coming out of our levy. But your ask then would be coming directly from our Pipestone County levy.
Be coming from the statewide affordable housing aid allocation, yes. But yes, it would be an additional request. I think, as Kathy points out, we do have a large amount of funding that does support the boots on the ground work, the supplies, the contractors, the actual product that we produce, right? The support of the homeowner. And that the areas in which grants are not as successful in funding us are staffing costs and keeping people local on the ground to make sure that the work is going to folks who need it, that we're maintaining open communication, that we're adjusting as a community needs is really critical to the success of the work that we do.
So if I understand correctly, then you're not asking specific for Pipestone County taxpayer money. You are asking for us to be able to pass through any grants that we get from the state for housing,
For affordable housing.
for affordable housing, which we have, that we've got that allocation.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yes, absolutely. And those dollars stay locally within your county. We use them to support staffing efforts in your county to, again, enhance and grow the work that we're able to do in Pipestone, but also, keeping local contractors employed and making sure that we're buying our supplies locally. We try to keep everything as local as possible.
And this affordable housing grant is different than the homeless grant that we heard about here.
It is, yes. So the statewide affordable housing aid actually came out of the surplus that the state divvied back out to communities. And there were two wings of work. The affordable housing aid is the one that we fall under. And thankfully, all of our programming is considered fair use. So should the Pipestone County want to distribute funds to us, they are considered spent and officially off your plate. We would take care of reporting back to you so that you all know exactly what the money is being used for, how many people we're supporting with it, and the overall, growth that we're talking about is on track. And then we would handle any additional reporting needs directly with the state should that come forward.
Anyone else have any questions?
I'm still a little confused how it doesn't duplicate what SMOC already does. So I guess before we make a commitment, I'd like to get some verification from our SMOC director. What her interpretation is this. Does that make sense to you, Kim, or am I off base here?
No, that totally makes sense. And again, we're totally open to collaborating with SMOC. We've worked with a lot of agencies in that way. So happy to make sure that that is understood. And I think also important is that, we're not looking for a complete allocation of these funds. These funds can be and are often spread among a variety of different priorities that best serve the county residents. So, we've seen some folks who want to do a single allocation for the year and then we return in the mix with other things. We've seen some folks allocate half of their funding to us and then they reserve the other half for other agencies or other priorities. We're well aware that we believe we are a strong part of the solution to affordable housing, but we're certainly not alone and there is more than enough need to go around. So we're always open to making sure that everybody's pulled into the table.
That sounds great. It's very definitely a very worthwhile program and something that we need to be behind. I just want to make sure that we're not duplicating effort and wasting money. I want to make sure the money gets applied. Now, you
Absolutely.
said you're 5 counties. So then are you also the same counties as SMOC with the addition of Cottonwood County? Is that right? So are you Pipestone, Rock, Nobles, Murray, and
Jackson.
Cottonwood?
Mhm.
Oh, Jackson. So Cottonwood's in it or not?
Yes.
Yes.
Cottonwood is as well.
So there's 6 counties then and not 5.
I count 6 on the letter.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, I thought I heard 5 counties. I apologize.
Definitely not a problem. Would it be helpful for us? I think something we found successful is we can present a couple of different scenarios to you all for consideration. Would it also be beneficial to include that, maybe like a sample report and like a high level bulleted overview of like where we feel our program is different from SMOC?
Yeah, that would be great.
Yeah. My own comprehension. Yeah, that would be terrific, Kim.
Maybe
Love to
also if
provide.
you could include more detail on what you've done already.
Certainly. Are there areas that you'd like more information on?
Just like what projects you've done in our county already or.
Yeah, absolutely. We can speak to some of the repair work that's been done so far.
Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely.
I see in the literature also, it talks not only elderly, but also talks about veterans rehabilitation projects for veterans housing as well too, so. And then again, then do you coordinate then with our veteran service officer in Pipestone County? Does she give you referrals?
We do have referrals coming out of the county veteran service offices. Yes.
Okay.
Great. all over that.
Perfect. So we'll get you kind of a high level overview of the differences between us and SMUC, so that's a little clearer. We'll speak a little bit more to the in-depth repair work that we've been doing in the county thus far. And then we can kind of give you a few scenarios based on, most of the counties have decided to come in around 50%, and so we can speak to that and give you something to bounce off of. And then a sample report of what we would give back to you all. And of course, all of this is negotiable and adjustable. So if there's something more you'd like to see or something else that comes up in your conversations, we'd be happy to address that.
Okay,
That would be good.
thank you for your presentation. Appreciate the information. We'll do some homework ourselves and get back to you, I guess.
Excellent. Is there a timeline or a working session or anything we should be aware of to make sure you have this information before?
Yeah, if
Just
you
to
could
keep
get it
things
to me
moving.
within next couple of weeks, we can put it on the agenda for the last meeting in July or the first meeting in August.
Perfect. We'll make sure that gets out to you.
Yeah, that would be great. And I'll be in contact too, and I'll get the numbers together for you of what we're receiving from the state on our allocations for the dollars that we're getting for the housing.
Excellent.
All right, thank you.
Thank you all
Awesome.
so much for your time. We appreciate it.
Thank you guys very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Have a lovely day.
You too.
Yeah, maybe that first meeting in August would work better for me.
Yeah, that's fine. All right. I don't think that there would be any issue with adopting the letter that they sent today as a letter of support to that organization. I don't see anything that
Who is that gonna go to?
going to the USDA for housing costs.
Okay.
Yeah, so that, I don't see there's any reason we couldn't adopt that today and send that to them.
Yeah.
That is not requiring any cost on our
Financial
part.
commitment.
It's just, we support their activities.
And it's,
You're doing work in the county anyway, it's like, just well support it.
Mr. Chair, I move for approval of the
do
letter.
we need a motion to approve the letter?
Yep.
Okay,
Yep.
Chris has got a second for that?
Dan will second.
Dan will second. Any other discussion? All in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed, same sign. Carried.
Actually, how this started was she got a hold of me regarding this letter, and I decided that we should learn more about
Yeah.
what we're doing here to see if we can help them, being we do have housing funds and that type of thing. And of course, we didn't want to step on SMOC's toes, but we haven't heard anything much about what they're doing lately on any of their projects here either, so.
And to be completely fair with the change in director and so forth down there, SMOC really was not up to the same level as what they had been previously at that
Right.
point. So
How much money are we talking about that's coming from the state? Roughly
Trying to remember, it's,
thousands or hundreds of?
I think we're getting in 24 and 25, we'll be getting about $85,000. And then for the next years after that, it will be split in half. So then we'll be getting like about 42 and 42 and then we're done. So first 2 years is 100%, and then the next 2 years is backed off to 50%.
And nothing's been spent yet.
Nothing's been spent, no. We've done nothing with it, so.
let me check with Darcy then and make sure that she wasn't counting on that funding herself. What SMOC was doing to make sure that this works in conjunction.
And some could.
I see no
go-
reason we
some
can't
could
share it
go
either.
Right,
Yeah.
exactly.
Both places.
Because right now, we're not making any financial contribution to SMOC. All SMOC funding is coming from. We never have, and I don't think none of it's ever passed through us before to SMOC either.
And they need to understand none of this would be long-term unless the state's gonna continue funding us.
Yeah.
With the housing funds, but I don't anticipate that, to be honest with you. So it'd be a 4-year project and do what you can do with the money they gave us.
And then their hope is we'll pick up.
As I would guess, it looks like reading their giving, for their office setting, there's almost similar to what we're doing with Jill and Ace to some degree.
Yep.
Pay for some help for them to be in an office and that type of thing to be around here. It looks like to me when I'm just reading through their information.
Well, I can get some answers for us because next Monday is our SMOC annual meeting. So I'll be able to confer with Darcy to make sure that this meshes well with that program there and report back to you guys soon on.
Good. Budget reports. That would be Steve.
Yep. Forgive me for not getting out the first quarter when I should have. That's on me, but I was a little busy doing a lot of HR stuff, I'm sorry to say, so
Yeah.
didn't get a chance to get that, so I just decided to do a first quarter of it. The only one that I have any report on of any consequence, unless you guys saw anything, was the Health and Human Services. And it was at 11%. And the reason it's 11% because I didn't get my invoices out for the lease in time. So that'll change when I get it. So all three, first quarter, second quarter, I sent them the lease for the third quarter now. So we'll get caught up here pretty quick. So that's why that's low. Commissioner Johnson did notice some things he mentioned this morning on costs of meals, and we are seeing a lot of increases in that type of cost, no fault of our own. I don't think we're seeing any more meetings, but the costs of everything we're doing when we're going and traveling and that type of thing, we're seeing greater increases in costs of those things we're doing. I mean, we have our daily rate is still at $50. Tip is at 15%. I'm not recommending we change that, but it's just, I think that we're seeing additional cost to that, and maybe we do want to look at it next time, but I'm not recognizing it now. So. Anything else you noticed in it? Anybody?
Just like in some areas, utility costs already exceed what we
Yep.
budgeted. Obviously, that shouldn't be the case, and then that difference in the wind production tag.
Yeah, that's,
We don't have any control over.
no, we don't. I'm trying to do my best estimate on that, and it's based on when they're spinning and when they're not spinning, is all it all comes down to, and we did hear from Murray County. Issues with it too, and other counties have too, so
Yeah.
it's fluctuating. We've been as high as 1.1 million, we've been as low as 700,000, that's a big spread.
The utility rates going up, was the city water rates affecting that quite a bit,
They are going up.
which we didn't budget
Going up.
anticipate.
Everything's going.
We didn't anticipate those changes either, so.
But it's funny how their rates go up, but yet they're paying less for the wind towers and whatnot.
Right.
Any other questions on the budget? Looks like it's an action. Do we need a
Go ahead.
motion?
Motion to approve or accept.
So move.
Thank you, Luke. Is there a second? Doug seconds. Any other questions? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Carried.
We got committee report.
Committee reports, that means the press is gonna leave, so we can talk, we can talk about them then. Who wants to be first?
I'll go.
Hey Doug?
Month of June the sixth, medical executive quality meeting at PCMC. I think we had a little bit, last hospital meeting. I think we'll get a more detailed report on that at our next meeting. The 11th, regular board meeting, 13th, AMC district meeting. And the 17th, private industry council at Marshall. Also the 17th, Board of Equalization. 20th, Buffalo Ridge, Drug Task Force. They've been short a couple officers, so there hasn't been a lot of action, but they did discuss quite a while on more liability insurance. So they did approve another $1 million in liability insurance. So they will have $2.5 million of liability insurance now, the way it looks. Minnesota Hospital Association of Advanced Fast Track Training. There was an overview of the 24 election. Excuse me. on the 24th, the extension meeting. 25th, regular board meeting of PCMC and here. So the 25th, we had a building and grounds meeting, and I guess Wayne covered that probably pretty good what we did there. And the 26th, Southwest Health and Human Services.
Thank you. Luke?
On the third, I toured the U of M Morris Energy Facility for renewable hydrogen and ammonia pilot project. They are using solar to break down water into hydrogen that they then convert to ammonia to as a fertilizer alternative. And then they were also showing some different electric vehicles, like they had an electric tractor and an electric weeder that they could send out in a field by itself, and it could identify the plants versus weeds and whatnot. I don't know, I'm still not a big fan of electric vehicles, but at least they're testing some different ones out. On the 5th, the Highway 23 Coalition Priority Projects Committee met, and basically we had to have the Candiotah County Board. Somebody has to be the grant recipient, and it can't be our entity, it has to be a county or whatever. So I think their board was gonna act today to be the requester of funds or whatever to extend the 4-lane from 71 to County State Aid 5 and Candiotah County. And the other congressionally directed fund requests have been submitted by senators for the studies from Foley to Mora and Marshall to Granite Falls. On the 6th, Area 2 and RCRCA met just ongoing projects, but they've been having issues with the Minnesota management and budget people to access the general fund dollars from the state. When they got bonding money, it was pretty cut and dry. They just submit invoices and they'd get, paid back pretty easily. MMB's requiring them to jump through way more hoops, and it's way more burdensome, and it's kind of ridiculous really, but I don't think they have it fully worked out yet. And so, I mean, basically there's projects that have already been bid out. Contractors are just waiting because they can't start until they know they're gonna get paid. And we're still trying to figure out how they're gonna get paid. On the 10th, Plan Ops met, had a personnel committee meeting on the 11th, district AMC meeting on the 13th, Board of Equalization on the 17th. AMC board on the 21st, Dan Kilzer and I presented on behalf of MRC as part of that meeting. On the 25th, had the hospital board, and then One Watershed, One Plan for Redwood River at a public meeting at Lake Benton to identify resource concerns. I think about 24 people attended and went pretty well. On the 26th, sat in a 2-hour AMC tax forfeiture update. Fairly complicated process, but get through it somehow. And then yesterday had planned ops again, and then we met for the One Watershed, One Plan for the Redwood again, and reviewed the resource concerns from both the public meetings and the steering committee, which met earlier the same day.
Thank you.
Got a question for Luke, or discussion again on that tax forfeiture so I always use the example, of course, of our property over here. So I understand that our $1 million that we spent cleaning that up, that we cannot deduct that cost, the cleanup from that.
Right.
But it goes back to the evaluation. So whatever the tax evaluation on that property was at the time.
Not what it was, what it is now.
Oh, now what it is today.
Yeah, what is the value today?
Today. Yeah.
Yeah.
So it is conceivable that the Hawsey family could come back to us and say that we owe them money.
No.
Because
No, because the settlement money that we all are going to agree to, that was passed by the legislature, is going to address any concerns that, and this would be a case where the property was sold for more than the taxable amount that was due. But in this case, I don't know how much was owed against it.
From Hawsey's, you mean?
Right. But I mean, but regardless, whatever, we sold the lot obviously to Harquist. If there was a difference, that would be dealt with as part of that settlement of the 109 million that all counties are gonna participate in. So, I mean, we don't have to worry about that. That's why we want to participate so that our liability ends. But going forward, they want you to attempt to sell whatever properties you have like in the bank. So we have this empty lot that hasn't sold yet. They want us, to try to sell that, but you have to sell it at the current appraised value first. Or try to. Okay, if that doesn't work, then you're able to apparently go back to how it was before and you
With
could
the
sell it
minimum
for a
price.
lesser amount.
Okay,
But whatever amount you collect from either sale, 75% of it you have to send to the state. And if you wait until a few years from now, you're gonna send 85% to the state. Until some date at 29 or 30, and then it just.
Well, they make their 109 million back. right?
Apparently, which they don't anticipate doing that. They're anticipating it'll only cover about a third of it or something, but.
so again, if you guys remember, when we set our minimum sale price on that, we used the per square footage cost of Hill and Brown, kind of tried to figure out what it was gonna be. And we came up with, what was it? Was it 27,000 for the north third and 72,000 for
Isn't
the
it
south?
28 and
28 to
72?
72.
Something like that. But now that for the south, 2/3 of it, the
72 is the. value
72,000.
listed at.
is what we listed for minimum, but that's actually less than what the assessed value is. The assessed value is greater than that.
It could be, I don't know for sure.
So if that's the case,
I don't know, whatever the current
Best value. is.
appraised value or whatever, is
Yeah.
what we're supposed to try to get first.
so even though we couldn't sell it for 72, now we're supposed to say, well, we have to ask more for it.
Possibly,
Yeah,
but I mean, if you have no luck from that, then you're able to go back to how it was before, where you can lower the price
okay.
to whatever level it will sell at.
Whatever it does sell,
3/4 of it's going to the
going to
state,
state anyway, whereas before we kept
all of it.
all of it. Yeah,
And you can't deduct, like you say, the $1 million we spent.
cleaning it up.
Sorry, that's on you.
It's just mind boggling, isn't it?
Right.
But I can see where going forward, if that's the process, who's gonna clean up a property?
Nothing's gonna go as is.
Right, you're gonna sell
Yeah,
everything
yeah.
as is for whatever the appraised value as is will be.
Somewhat of an outlier.
Oh,
but still-
certainly,
Oh, yeah.
yes.
But still, how can you not clean up a mess like that?
Right, but I mean, knowing how even some of the homes you end up with,
Yeah.
we've, seen many over the years that, they're full of garbage, they're, roofs collapsing or whatever. I mean, they're gonna be very challenging to move in an as-is state.
The only
without-
advantage there is because the value of the property, normally it wasn't a negative value like what Central School was.
Right,
Normally, the cost of cleanup would cover whatever you'd be able to sell it for, normally,
but there certainly will be cases where the cost of cleanup will exceed what you're,
what the value is.
asked.
Yeah. And especially again, since how we're paying for the cost of cleanup and all the proceeds of the sale, 75% of it's going to the state.
Well, we won't be paying for cleanup like Luke.
Right,
said.
you won't
No,
pay
we
for the
won't.
cleanup,
It'd
you'll
be
sell it
as
as
is.
So would
is.
Central School even sell? If it was without taking it down, would that even have sold?
How could it?
Or would you
We can't
even
sell it now
want
for,
to?
for 72,000?
No, I meant that nobody would have,
Yeah.
what would you do then?
We can't
Nobody would
sell a
have.
clean lot for 72,000. Nobody's gonna pay anything
Yeah.
for it, knowing it's gonna cost $1 million to clean it up.
So it would have just
Yeah,
still
it'll be
sat
sitting
there if we didn't.
Yeah, the legislators have really missed the boat on this.
Well, it's not so much the legislature as the Supreme Court took it up and decided that,
Right.
that taking is not what we should be doing. you know.
But I mean, they didn't look at it
Unto
in
Caesar what is Caesar.
the few times that you made a profit, which were very limited. They didn't take into account how many properties you lose money on, and in some cases, like the school, a lot.
That was supposed to go back to the owner if you made a profit, right?
Right, anything
that
that
what it-
exceeded the
right.
taxes due.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, any profit.
And that'll still be the case going forward, except that a court will determine who gets that money, if any. Cause people have to, make a claim, claiming that they're the ones
The
that's
district
entitled
court.
to the money, and then a court will decide if they're entitled or not.
Yeah.
So at least we don't have to decide that, which is good.
Part of it.
That's good.
Next.
On the tenth, had a law liaison meeting, both Dan and Steve were there for that, and just mainly discussion. Don't do any business with that.
Went pretty well all in all, I think. Yeah.
If we had a new minutes taker. On the 11th, we had a personnel meeting. 17th, Board of Equalization. 18th, grill out. It's not a meeting, but it's still fun. The 24th, had a CPT executive committee meeting, just mainly talking about roofs, replacing roof on that building there, so that's.
Hey, maybe give these guys a call. So probably go there too.
Then I wasn't able to meet with the extension that night. And then on the 25th, PCMC, and that's all I had for June.
Thank you. Dan?
The first part of the month, I wasn't available for meetings because I was fishing.
Catch any fish?
Yeah, we did. Grandkids did too. So the 10th then, had law liaison, we already talked about it, went well. Appreciate Steve being there on that as well too, because there'd been some discussion about whether or not the mayor had his budgets of the law enforcement agents. So that went well.
Went well.
Then also that day I had Southwest 18 Mental Health Consortium. They're working on these new bylaws. And again, the bylaws, we're gonna I don't think the mayor has got a copy of the bylaws yet. So they're gonna go through those new bylaws, some tweaks and changes.
Are they gonna send directly to him or go through me to get to him or what? I haven't seen anything.
I don't know. I've got a meeting with them next Friday, this Friday. So I'll ask that question on Friday, where we're at with those bylaws. And have them to send a copy. You probably should be CC'd on it as well.
Oh, yeah,
too.
definitely.
Yeah. We'll find out on Friday on that. And then also on that day, I had, that was all on Monday. Monday was a busy day. Oh, we had plan ops. You mentioned we had plan ops for the hospital that morning. So then on the 11th, I had, of course, a regular meeting here. I also had quality control for Prime West. I had to Zoom that one. I couldn't drive up for that one. Pretty much every 2 months, we have quality controls, very similar to what we've done before. Some of the new changes and so forth with some of our policies, and reviewed the policies. On the 13th, I wasn't able to make the District 8 because I was cooking for Casey Jones Trail Association annual meeting we had over at End of the Line Railroad. Had, I think about 50 people show up for it. I think went well. Then on Friday, the 14th, I had my Southwest 18 Mental Health Consortium meeting as well too. And again, now, before I was attending that as our representative through the coalition, through the joint powers of Health and Human Services, but now I'll be attending it as Pipestone representative, whereas all the other 6 counties will have their representatives there as well too. Then on the 17th, we had Board of Equalization, but also I had my Veterans Memorial meeting there. Veterans Memorial, we are somewhere in the area. I think we're with this raffle we just did for Water Tower Fest. We did a raffle. I think we're somewhere in the area, maybe 90,000, something like that. And our goal was to get like 100, 110,000 before we actually ordered the stone itself to be shipped. So we're getting closer on that. We need to put together an actual site design so we exactly know how and where it's going to be built. So some different architects not architect, but some draftsmen drawing up some pictures on that. On the 18th, met with Brad Burris on some stuff with the hospital, and he mentioned we had our grill out. On the 20th, met with Sarah from Western Area Mental, Sarah Ackerman, and trying to find, as you know, a location for them at the hospital other than where we're at upstairs right now. But also mentioned to her too that we still, are just on a contract with them. We don't have any governance on that. And their board is looking into that to see at what point we actually join them and a full member of the governance board like we were with Southwest Mental Health. So that's still somewhat in flux. On the 21st, there was an AMC Board of Directors meeting. I didn't get a chance to zoom in on that. Did you zoom in on that one on
I
Friday?
was there.
What was the gist of that one? Anything in particular?
Just, I guess, routine business other than, like I said, Ann and I, some of the affiliates get to present. Well, all of them can at some point during the year, so it was our turn and, we presented on behalf of MRC to the board and that went well.
Good enough. Then my next one then was on the 26th, our regular Southwest Health and Human Services meeting. Also, we had a transportation liaison group that met as well too. And this transportation or task force, one of the major obstacles we have is with the individuals that are in the methadone treatment program. There's only like 3 treatment centers and most of them are all up north, I think Duluth or up in that area. And these individuals need to be there 6 days a week. So they've actually got volunteer drivers like leaving St. Cloud, driving to Alex to pick up a person and drive them all the way up to this treatment center. So it's a full day of driving 6 days a week. And when they get to the treatment center, basically they give them an oral medication and that's it. So they get counseling. So they can't have somebody else distribute the meds to them. It just doesn't make sense. But because of that, that's over 50% of our transportation costs for Prime West. So Prime West has got this subgroup put together trying to look at this whole idea. Also some of the other members of the transportation group, I think there's one up in Alex where they take donated vehicles and they've got mechanics that rehabilitate them. And I don't know if they loan them or give them or whatever it is to individuals that need transportation, whether it be for work or for health appointments. How that all works, it's quite involved. So we just had our original organization meeting on the 26th. So we'll see how that evolves going forward. The next day, then on the 27th, had our ACE quarterly meeting. We did decide on a budget for the year. We are going to see a little bit of a bump in our cost. We're still
I
not.
just got it today. 63.5 is the ask.
Yeah, it wasn't a big jump because we're still not part of the grant program because we're not until the next grant cycle. Gave the employees, I believe it was 3%, if I'm not mistaken, plus $25 or something like that, right? And that was it for my June report. Give you a heads up for my July report. And you're going to think, on the 23rd of July at 9 o'clock, I won't be here. I'll be getting on a float plane coming back from Canada. So my apologies. I'm going.
I won't be here either.
You won't be here either.
I got a kind of a thing in Iowa I'm going to, but
Okay. So then it's imperative that you 3 have got to be here. So we have a quorum.
Imperative.
Imperative.
Or we postpone until the 30th. We do have 5 Tuesdays, so we could
Yep.
get,
And I'll be home yet that night, the 23rd. So if we absolutely had to, I could do it on the 24th on that Wednesday, but
let's wait and see.
yep. That concludes my report and the fishing forecast as well.
Thank you. My report is short too. I missed some meetings because of a funeral in Georgia, so. June 11th, had a regular meeting, 17th, Board of Equalization, grilling on the 18th. 25th, regular meeting, hospital board meeting, and 6/26, I went to the Redwood River Watershed one in Marshall. Very intelligent young lady led the meeting. It was good. Some of the facts of the watershed, there's an 860-foot drop from Buffalo Ridge to the Redwood River, which is a significant amount of the drop from here to the ocean, actually. It covers 563,000 acres, 48 lakes. miles of streams and 2 trout streams. Anybody know that we had 2 trout streams that close?
Nope.
One in the Camden Park and one over toward Redwood. They got a small one coming out of
Ramsey Park.
Also interesting too, you know, all the flooding down in Rock Rapids, Iowa, that's the Rock River. Well, where's the Rock River start?
By Holland.
By Holland. So that little creek up there, that little dribble down there.
And that's my report.
Good.
And you must have talked to the mayor again there.
That's another story. He was talking about, we did talk about water coming from watershed going into another one. Lincoln Pipestone draws it out of this watershed and a lot of it goes that way, you know.
What'd you figure out?
They have arrangements for that. But Ghent gets fed from the north and the north is not struggling, but they're having a hard time keeping up. And so Ghent goes on water restrictions and then he was ticked off. So, and he said, I call him and nobody said, he said, so I can't get any answer. So I talked to my local, who's Rod Sprunk. And Rod Sprunk talked to Nathan or Jason. And Jason called me and says, why am I getting calls about Grant from the south, from Edgerton, for heaven's sake? So he just said he hasn't got a hold of the mayor yet either. So he said, I talked to the clerk at city council. So that doesn't count. She might run the town, but he's mad. She's not mad. He's mad. So he's hopefully gonna take care of that for me. I got a question about the other additions on my, Secretary of State, Murray County Commissioner District Peoples.
The competition.
Sent that out to you, just so you know who filed.
Information.
So they're,
Because 3 of their commissioners are
I
retiring.
was gonna say, there's gonna be 3 new ones.
That was
I looked them up.
the election season in Murray County. Luke and I were talking about it on Friday. I said, I'll just give it to all you guys so you can see what was going on over there.
Which one's retired?
Molly, Lori, and Dave Steiner.
Finer.
Molly just got started. Why should she retire?
She's hooked up with that windmill thing.
Oh, yeah.
I would assume it's conflict of interest.
Leslie's brother, isn't it, that's running, that Loy
Loy
Warner?
Warner, yeah.
That's her brother, isn't it? Yeah.
He lives over Dovery Way. He's, I don't know how he's gonna have time. I think he's a superintendent
Oh,
for
he
2
retired.
schools.
He retired.
Oh, he did retire from being the superintendent? Cause he was at Westbrook and what was the other one? He had 2 of them over there.
Superintendents don't do
Was
nothing.
it Lake Bend?
Yes, I think you're right. It was like that.
Did Molly just leave her
Superintendent.
4-year term or is she leaving
Yeah.
early?
No. Yeah.
She got elected the same time I did, yes. Steve, superintendents don't do anything. so.
Okay. Got that on the record.
Good. My number is, anything else coming before the board? Need a motion to adjourn.
I'll move.
Support? All in favor? All opposed? We're adjourned.
27, we're adjourned. Okay.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you all.